Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson. And once again with me today is Sarah Tolson. I'm starting to feel like we need to change that intro if you're going to keep coming back.
Well, yeah. Maybe. We'll see. I still don't have a mic. I just kind of bomb off here, so.
How's it going, Andrew? Glad to have you back again. All right, so this is part 2 of investigating the new UI builder with the specifically the portal experiences. So last time, if you joined us, it was
a hot mess.
yeah, that's it, a hot mess.
Can we just stop and acknowledge how cute these icons are? I love them.
Gosh, yeah.
They make me so happy. So whatever designer is out there creating icons for ServiceNow, I salute you. But anyway, sorry, important things. UI builder.
So I've leveled up a little bit, in part thanks to the information that Andrew shared last time with pointing us towards ServiceNow Ninjas.
Yeah, that was really helpful. At least for him anyway. He's dug into this a lot more than I have.
So they're and I'll be honest, I've only gone through like a couple of theirs and then I dove off on my own, but I am going to use theirs as a resource again tonight. But they really helped get me off the ground in terms of getting an actual experience set up. So tonight I'm actually going to reboot the process. I'm going to go from square one because I haven't actually shown Sarah this yet, and this was one of the big reasons that I actually started down this road was Sarah asked me to. So
yeah, that's pretty true. Honey, do the thing. Honey, do the thing. Honey, are you done with the salary survey? I need you to do the thing. That's about how it's gone, right?
It has. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with a brand new one. Now, first of all, I'm going to create a new application.
Oh.
Or no, my company's application. I guess I could technically just go with the new hotness and do the big green button. So let's do it that way. So I'm going to do create app, and I'm going to do with code. Because
that takes you to Studio?
This one takes me to Studio. This one takes me to what I know and love, and this one I haven't done yet, and I'm not ready to go down the rabbit hole on that one yet.
Are you scared?
A little bit. So we'll kick that off. Studio opens up. We're going to create an application.
What are we going to call it?
We'll call it the Code Creative Experience.
That sounds like legit.
Doesn't it?
You're going to have to make that a thing.
The experience branding that ServiceNow has put around that has just been...
It doesn't matter what you call it. It kind of elevates it, right?
It does.
Code Creative Experience. The bathroom experience.
I don't know. That last one might have been a little too far.
I'm still laughing about that, but anyway.
All right. So now I've got the Code Creative Experience app created. I'm going to close out of Studio now because I don't actually need it. You'll see I've already gotten that selected automatically. So then we're going to open up the UI Builder. And what we want is this stream safe for kids, Andrew asks.
It can be if you want it to be.
Questionable even if.
Oh, stop it. I'll make him behave.
Oh.
I'll smack you if you say a bad word. So the kids will know there are consequences for your actions.
All right, so you can see here I've already got the GlideFast experience in there, but we're doing the Code Creative experience this time. So in order to get an experience to show up, first we have to create in platform.
So you go to the pretty page to go back to the platform.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure that button's going to do better in the future. So we're going to create a new one. Code Creative Experience.
Andrew asked me if I was one with the experiences. Yes.
So then
Look, you're talking to a UI person. I am all about the experience.
So then you can see I've selected the Portal App Shell, and that's just setting up your basic
What's an app shell?
The app shell is kind of the Chrome around it, so it's your overall page template. The app shell is going to load on initial load, and then that's your single page application basically.
Okay.
So that's the initial HTML that loads. Everything after that is loaded dynamically.
Does that include any parts that are normally elsewhere from Service Portal?
It's basic. So for the Portal app shell, it's your header footer. For Workspace app shell, it's
That sidebar thingy.
It's a little more than that for the Workspace one, because the Workspace one I think includes the sidebar, the tabs, the top bar. I mean,
that Workspace is nice.
So your app shell is a pre-configured layout with different regions defined where you can drop other components in.
So it's kind of like the frame around your picture.
It is. It is.
Because I've created a page on its own, it would look really lonely without a header and a footer, but I couldn't figure that part out.
So then this part here, the auth routes, and I also gave it a URL path. That's the URL that's the
That's like the URL
that's the backslash,
suffix.
right,
Yeah.
right. So this part here is one of the parts I picked up from the Now Ninjas guys.
The guides did not say anything about this JSON.
So basically the auth routes is some special magic incantation that specifies that your login goes to the login page and your logout goes to the login page, I think. So when you log out, it redirects to the login page.
Gotcha.
I think that's what it does. I haven't really tested that aspect yet. But so now I'm going to save.
So that's JSON Voodoo. Got it.
JSON Voodoo. There's a lot of JSON Voodoo.
JSON
in
Redirect
this.
Voodoo.
So next, we have to create an admin panel. This is what's actually going to expose it in the UI Builder experiences.
So without that, you're never going to see it in the list, even if you have everything else hooked up.
Right. So what we need is the UX app config. So code creative app config. Landing path is the landing page. What is your first home page
Why wouldn't you
for
just
it?
call it landing page then?
Because you can define what it is. So right now I've defined it as the home, as /home.
Oh.
So it'll be /CCE/home or something to that effect. So now we're going to save.
Save your record.
Okay. I'm going to keep this open for now. I'm going to switch over to reload, and that'll show you that now it's in the experiences. So now I can open this up, and I have no pages yet, so I'm going to create the initial page. And I'm not going to use a page template yet. Page templates are really cool, though. So
What do they do?
Okay, so first of all, a page template can be used in the traditional sense of a page template where, it's just predefined layouts, a bunch of data on it, and then you can edit it after the fact.
Kind of like the rows and columns and all that in the page designer for Service Portal?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to compare to what I know, and I know there's a lot of other people out there coming from Service Portal, so...
But...
No, I don't like but.
It has a superpower.
Oh.
So in Service Portal, you know how you have to do page route maps because every page applies to every portal?
Yes, it makes me cry.
It doesn't work that way in UI Builder.
What?
Each page is specific to its experience, but you can create there are page templates. I haven't figured out if you can create page templates. I imagine you can.
That would make sense.
If not, I'm sure it's coming. But basically, you can select one of these page templates, so like the 404 page template, and that pulls the template or it creates a page using that template in your experience. And you can choose, if I can show it here, you can choose to reference the template and its data. If you reference it, then basically it's essentially like a page route map where it links to the other page in a manner of speaking. Basically, when you go through the upgrade process, Andrew!
Hey, Andrew!
We have the Andrews.
How many Andrews? Oh, we have 2 Andrews?
Yeah, we have 2 Andrews now. So basically these... if you link to the page template, your page will get the upgrades when ServiceNow upgrades them.
Nice.
So all of that, basically what it means is that all of the, oops, somebody accidentally configured the home page in my vendor instance, and now everything's jacked up, and I have to restore that page. All of that's gone.
Why you gotta trigger me like that, huh? Why you gotta trigger me like that?
Oh my gosh, we are just missing Andrew P. Then we would have all the Andrews. There's
Is this
only...
like a... What happens when their powers combine? Is there like a Captain Andrew?
Well, now we have 2 Andrews in the same place at the same time, and I feel like that should, like,
Open
break
a portal
the
to the
space-time
neither.
Yeah, break the space-time continuum or something.
It's like putting a portable hole in a bag of holding.
But so that's what page templates are.
Okay.
At this point,
You're not doing that, though.
not doing that.
You
We're
gotta
just
be
going to
free.
create home.
You don't want a template.
I'm a free spirit.
Oh, that's the truth. The Council of Andrews. I so dig that.
It's like...
Or the Brotherhood.
It's like out of the Flash. The Council of... I forget his name. The professor dude. I don't know. I haven't watched Flash in a while. Got Robert Greene in here now. This is where all the cool...
He's not a Green.
Geen.
He's Geen.
Oh, well,
He's been doing portal stuff with me. He's cool.
Oh, nice.
I do not know who...
John Dahl? Man, we're getting everybody in here.
Who
Yeah,
is-
I don't... Demo
Whipper?
Whipper?
Dude, you gotta identify yourself. Or dude or female representing dude. Dude is a gender neutral
Individual.
term for me. 24/7 Andrew coverage. Yes.
So,
Okay.
so at this point, I can now kick open this page, and you'll see that it's it's nothing.
But it's got a cute icon to tell you it's got nothing.
It does have a cute icon to tell you nothing. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to enable the header, footer, logos. I want to get the basics covered really quick here.
Well, I'm glad you figured this out because I was cussing up a storm over this.
So I'm back on the UX page registry.
Okay.
Which I can also get to from the UI builder. In fact, let's do that. If I go to Menu, Edit Experience Settings, then I can pull open my advanced settings, and that'll bring me to the UX page registry.
That got some major page whiplash from going back and forth here. But okay.
So from here, I need to create page properties. Now, there's some magic voodoo. It deals with data bindings and all kinds of stuff that we don't really want to cover just yet. Let's get the basics down, then we'll go into magic voodoo later.
Now, is that because you haven't gotten that far yet, or is that because we're just not there yet?
It's a little bit of both. I understand some of the bindings and how to manipulate some of the bindings. It seems like there's a lot of HTML in JSON. So the HTML elements and structure is there, but it's all done through JSON.
That bothers me. That seems wrong.
Well, it lets you easily load it dynamically, so I don't know, it works.
Andrew says, Barnes says, I'm calling you out. I've just got to keep him honest.
So, Chrome header is one of these bindings in the portal experience. So, portal experience defines I think it's a slot where it's called Chrome header. And if you create a page property called Chrome header and fill it with magic JSON, then it will work. So I'm going to grab this from the Now Ninjas because they've provided some JSON.
You realize I'm going to have to make you a little picture for the Code Creative website that's like magic JSON.
Magic JSON? So if we come in here, you can see, where is it? So you can see that there's some searches enabled on the header. User preferences are enabled. You can see where the logo route goes. You can change the logo route from a type to an href.
Okay.
So you can see there's a lot of stuff in here that is defined. Primary items, user menu, and you can see what's on the user menu.
Okay.
Navigation, external, opens window, href. So you can see kind of how some of this structure works, and you can start to manipulate it. For now, we're just going to submit and call it done. Also going to pull up the footer, and the menu ones, because those are done via property as well. So there's also Chrome footer. And that's not Chrome browser. That's like Chrome as in the website Chrome, the frame.
Oh, I'm glad you say that because Andrew said that Chrome header makes him sad. There are other browsers.
Oh, I didn't even see that he mentioned that. That was just by accident that I addressed that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did because I'm sitting here just as lost as anything. See, when you say Chrome and you say like the outside or whatever, I'm thinking like Chrome on a car, like a Chrome bumper or something. That's the image in my head.
It's along those lines.
Yeah.
So then copying the Chrome footer,
it's our Spark.
And it's JSON. And then I am going to create the navigation menu, which once again you can see that there are routes defined that are going to different pages. So like that sysid is the route is catalog. So I believe that's the catalog page with sysid equal to that as one of the parameters. I think that's how that one works.
I already feel victimized by this. I just want you to know that.
It's really not that bad. And this one is Chrome menu. All right, so I'm going to save that. Actually, I didn't want to save it. I wanted to update. All right, so now we've got footer, header, and menu all defined.
He asked if this is specifically used in portal types of experience.
Yes, Andrew. This is on the portal experience. So, in fact, let's take a step back.
Versus like the workspace experience or what have you.
Yes. So let's go to app shells real quick, and I'll show you where this Chrome stuff falls into play. So I am currently using the portal app shell, and if I open this portal app shell, if I can get it to open,
you gotta click it. There you go. Good job.
So you will see that there is a Chrome header data binding output that's connected here. So it's exposing data output bindings. Now, if I understand this correctly, I think there's like some order in this. I think this is an order of precedence. So it'll look here, and if it doesn't find it, it'll look there. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't find it, it'll look there. I think is how it works, but I haven't tested that yet. Mm-hmm. Likewise, you'll find Chrome menu defined as a data output binding. And you will find some others in there. Oh, I just missed it. Chrome footer. So basically let me use my mouse so everybody can see. So this composition...
I just realized you were doing that.
Let me just point at random things for Sarah that nobody else can see. That's fantastic.
Okay, that works for me.
So this composition is basically defining how the app shell itself is composed. And when we look at the actual HTML, and I'm going to bring this over here, what you'll see is that there's a canvas header, a canvas menu, and a canvas footer.
So is that header one that is already in a component that's already in ServiceNow that you're just pretty much calling to put there?
So if we look here, you'll see the element ID, SN canvas main, and you'll see in here that there is an SN canvas main right here. And its definition is this, the macro component or the UX component that is at that sysid. Mm-hmm. So essentially, this JSON is describing the composition of components in the UX framework. ServiceNow has created components. Mm-hmm. We can create components. And so in theory, and I've actually already tested this by copying the portal app shell and mucking up the composition, but you can change these sysids to point to other components, like ones of your own creation.
Okay.
And so you can create your own shells, but
that sounds kind of sketch.
It probably is.
That's like cloning the out-of-box widgets, and
yes.
I don't know about that.
I don't think that that's supported, but in theory you can do it. Now going back to
Does that mean we would have to clone and all that to call in a different type of header, like if we didn't want that header?
So essentially, and you notice that the header is now in place. There's the header menu. There's the footer. You can see some broken links that I'm going to fix in a minute. You can see the search. So essentially, with the Portal app shell, you appear to be stuck with this.
It's another Andrew.
We have another Andrew?
Yes.
So many Andrews. Oh my goodness, we have all the Andrews. The Andrew trifecta.
The Andri.
The Andri. Oh my gosh.
I don't think that's how it works. But... So is the search bar being up there a part of the header?
Yeah, so in our header definition...
That's different from the service portal out of box header. Which
so if I go to the Chrome header, you'll see a setting in here somewhere, search enabled. So if I change search enabled to false, and you can think of, and it's gone.
Oh, snap.
You can think of these almost as instance options.
Yeah,
it's just like the instance options JSON, only much more complicated.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So when we create our own header, because we're going to do it, or
if you create your own header, you have to use a custom app shell right now. Mm-hmm. The Portal app shell does not support, when you look at the composition, it does not support any properties for injecting your own header.
Lame.
Now, I have seen something called overrides, and I haven't figured out what you can and can't do with the overrides yet, but so it may be possible to override those specific sections. I haven't figured out how to manipulate it yet.
What you don't know is they're just like an important tag.
It might be.
You could create your own, but say you create your own header, you could use those JSON options to have like one component with like a bunch of different things.
Basically, everything's a component. Okay, so if we look over here, SN canvas root is a component. SN layout is a component. Canvas error, component.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the Andrew chat.
I call the meeting of the Andrews to order. We stand in judgment of Travis. Is he a good enough ServiceNow developer to deserve Sarah? I'm just going to go ahead and say no.
Well, I mean, I don't think he deserves to have me because of his ServiceNow chops. I mean, you know. You deserve me because you're awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Be nice to you. But the fact that you were like, so, I know you're doing WordPress and all that, but you could do this on Service Portal and it's way cooler. And you were right.
But yeah, so I mean, it's basically components all the way down.
It's all components.
It's all components.
Which you can't
Macroponent.
build in ServiceNow. You have to build in like the other traditional dev environment.
The CLI tool. And I forget what the name of the CLI tool is, but yes, you create your components in the CLI tool. But ServiceNow has also created a whole bunch of components themselves.
Mm-hmm. But, it's a lot.
But the gist of the UX framework is that it's components all the way down.
I'm going to call them widgets until the day I die, and you're not ever going to change
No,
them.
they're components. You have to change. But so I have seen a lot of override support in a lot of different areas, and so it may be possible to change things without changing them, so to speak. And we'll see how that plays out as we get more information and figure out different parts of this framework.
As we get more information, by that you mean I chain you to your desk until you give me answers, right?
Well, I'm hardly the only person working on this. I mean, again,
that's true. There are a lot of great
Now
people.
Ninjas, you've got Ashley, you've got Andrew P, you've got countless people out there that are just digging into this and just tearing it apart. So, we're all in this, digging out what we can.
Which is good because I'm sitting here in the background like, faster! I need to know how to change fonts.
Well, in fact, let's move to that.
Can we change fonts?
We can. It's very easy. So I'm on the UX page registry. I'm going to pull up the app configuration, and we can create a theme.
But this is not, because I looked at this. This is not
This
your
is not
Service
Service
Portal
Portal.
theme.
This is not like Service Portal.
Because I made the mistake of trying to put some CSS in that thing, and
There are things about this that I love and things about this that frustrate me. So the first thing I'll tell you is that theming is, and apparently Brad's next big blog is about theming.
Ooh.
So I hope I'm not stealing any thunder going into it.
That's okay. I'll read both.
But
and I'm married to you, so I'm not going to pay attention.
But themes are... What I really love about themes is that there is more control given to the component developer. In Service Portal, you create your widget and people can go in and rip it apart, and you go back into the instance and it's not the way you left it. Your component is now changed, it's broken, and taken down a horrible, dark path that you never intended.
Where people tab instead of double spacing. Pay no attention to that comment. I am not here to start wars.
You'll turn around and you'll put a bunch of different properties in there, and you'll have a plan for that widget, and you'll leave notes on that.
Yeah.
And people will come in and they'll change it, and it goes down a path you didn't intend, and now you have to work around the fact that the architecture you designed was not followed. And I run into this stuff a lot when I'm working with teams that are cross company.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 3 or 4 different consultancies in with the same customer, and sometimes you get paired up with really phenomenal folks, and sometimes you get paired up with junior devs, but you don't have direct contact with the junior devs, so it's hard to mentor them or work with them, and they go in, they rip stuff apart, and it doesn't work the way you want.
They jank up your widgets.
They jank up your widgets. It hurts. In the UX framework, you compile your widgets, so it's really tough for them to go in and muck up what you've built.
They're components, not widgets.
Components. It's really tough for them to muck up your components. But it really encourages the properties aspect. Mm-hmm. And your theming is primarily done through CSS custom properties. So theming is done through JSON. So real quick, if I pull up the experience, I can inspect element, and let me double check real quick. CSS custom properties, right? Okay, got the term right. So CSS custom properties use this little dash syntax.
So wait, time out. Like, how does this relate to normal CSS or SAS or whatever?
So SAS is a pre-compiler.
Yes.
SAS does not get sent to the browser generally. Usually you take a bunch of SAS files, you compile them into CSS, and then you pitch them.
Yeah.
Pitch them over to the browser. The variables there are $name. CSS custom properties are natively supported in the browser. Oh. So it's CSS variables, just like SAS variables, but without needing a pre-compiler to do it. The browser handles it natively.
Is this a new CSS feature, or has this been around a while and we're just catching up?
A little of both. It has been around for a little bit, but it is still at least fairly new.
Okay.
I'll put it this way. It has been around a while, but full browser support across the board for most major browsers is a more recent development within like the last 2 versions, I think.
So when you say, and this is me rabbit trailing, when you say most modern browsers, are you including Internet Explorer in that? Or
Internet Explorer is not a modern browser. It is dead.
Or like Edge or whatever.
Edge, yes. Edge supports it.
Okay. Like old Edge or new Edge?
I don't know if it's distinguished. I'm pretty sure it works on old Edge. It definitely works on new Edge because new Edge is just Chrome with new Chrome.
That's true. Okay, well, anyway, I'm sorry. I'm
Chromeception.
Anyway, you're going to show me how to change fonts and stuff. Or we're talking about CSS variables.
Yes. So, basically,
Paige
what we're going to do here... Paige! Hi, Paige! So, where was I? Oh, CSS variables.
Yes,
or
CSS
custom properties is the official term. I think if you search for CSS variables, I think you'll still stumble across the same thing. But so you'll see right down here, this now color primary 0 being used for the background color. Okay? and you'll see a bunch of RGB, var. These are a bunch of CSS functions that are doing fancy calculations.
Okay.
So I believe the var one, what var is saying is use this property. If this property doesn't exist, then use this. So basically what we have here is use this property. If it doesn't exist, use this property. If that doesn't exist, use the base value.
Nice.
Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this guy. And to do that, we have to copy the custom property.
Put it in JSON.
Put it in JSON. And then I need my code creative colors, because I don't even remember what those things are. Green. Now, hex will not work here. It expects RGB. If you go to computed, any hex goes straight to RGB. Or you can get a plugin for it, which I also have. And that looks like this. And then you get your RGB.
Oh, that's flipping fancy.
It is. It is called Color Pick Eyedropper, and it's phenomenal. If you're on Mac, you already have one as an app.
How lazy am I that I focus primarily on design and UI and I don't have a color picker on my browser yet?
Well, I'm pretty sure you can just like eyeball it and... Yes, that's 230, 125, 4.
Not
No,
quite.
wait. 5.
No, but I do have my favorite, the hex for my favorite page background color memorized. Is that bad? Like, do people not do that?
That's... I don't know. I think that's a design thing. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just a design thing.
Maybe.
All right, so you can see I changed the nav bar. And I'm also going to change the color. So I can come in here, and I've already pulled it up. And it's this guy. So I'm going to change this one. To 255, 255, 255. Which is about the only one that I remember.
One of the Andrews says that he's memorized hex colors too.
Man, dang it.
See.
Well, I just got outgunned then.
I do it more when I'm like picking apart like an external website for a client so I can put together their theme. Because they don't give me branding assets.
So what I'm going to do now, let's say one thing I can do as well is I can create my own custom properties and inject those. And this is really cool because what I can do...
Oh, you can chain it?
I can chain it.
The same way you can Sass variable.
With Sass variable, yep, you got it. So what I do is I change that RGB value to this and it will still work. And now it's green. And now what we can do is if I come across other things as I'm going along, I can just set them to that same color. And now you have a real solid sense of theme because you can basically come up here, change one color, and it changes everything across, kind of like the service portal, that one service portal thing that you built with all the SVGs that did the magic changing color.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
That was awesome. Well, this is how you would do it in...
But question, like those now colors, that primary 0 is probably used in multiple spaces throughout the site. And one thing I've noticed, if you like $sign brand primary, it may look good in some places, but look horrible in others. So
yes.
How do we deal with like the few edge cases where maybe that color doesn't look good there?
So if you look down here, you'll see that, like I pointed out before, that there's functions,
defaults.
Right? There's defaults. So there's fallbacks. And it moves...
That's a better word.
It moves from left to right in terms of most specific to least specific. So this one here most likely pertains to this specific bar. Whereas this one is the more general variable where you can change it at a slightly higher level.
Okay.
And then, of course, it falls back to the default coloring if you haven't specified either. So if... It depends on how general you want to change that color. The more specific you want to change the color, the further left you go in the CSS functions. So that's how that gets set. But so that's basically all the theming is just finding your CSS custom properties and setting those values, and you can daisy chain them if you want to. You'll also notice that I did extend from the default theme.
I did see the default theme. It's got a whole bunch of these set up, and a lot of them are like good enough that in 90% of your use cases, you're not going to want to change anyway.
And this is one of those examples that I was talking about of some of the extension overriding, because basically, I think if we look in here, you'll see.
So I could create a GlideFast theme.
You could.
And then I could extend it for any changes that we need to make to
Right.
client. Oh.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of power in terms of being able to override different things without changing the original.
Paige says this feels like a lot how she messes with CSS and the portal. And yeah, that's the feeling I get as well. I keep having Travis put it into portal terminology so I can kind of get a comparator. But
all right, so next up, what we're going to do...
Wait, did you figure out what that override does yet? Right there?
This override?
Yeah, that override. Because you talked a lot about overrides. I didn't know if you've explored this.
I have not explored that override, but it does have to do with the whole overriding themes, and I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm still trying to figure some of that stuff out. Maybe Brad can fill us in when he jumps in on it on his next blog. So I'm going to drop my logo off over here so I can use it. Because now what I want to do is I want to jam... Oh, that's a shame. I need my other one.
Your other one?
Yeah, my other one.
Your
You know
logo?
what? You know what? No. We're gonna do it this way. I'm going to find the CSS of that bar, and we're going to change it. That's font family. Background color. Nope. Is it on here? Ah, background color. Here we go.
Barnes says we should drop in the show. I need to put that on my calendar because I always see it and get excited and then get distracted and miss it.
So like we should what now?
See, look.
Drop in the show next week?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We'll have to do that.
And then we can harass them.
Oh, see, here's an example right here of where I'm going to go with one that's more specific. So you can see here that the now color background primary, I'm a little antsy about changing that to green because I suspect that that's being used elsewhere by like cards or panels or something. That specific terminology makes me a little uncomfortable changing it. So I'm going to change it at the lower level.
Oh, Barnes wants to know if we want to join directly. I think you should.
Join directly?
Yes.
Heck. Like, as in come on live coding happy hour?
Yeah.
I'm not worthy. So there you can see I've used my custom variable twice.
That looks reminiscent of the one that's all the gobbledygook letters. That looks like really specific. The way you get that sysid class on a widget.
Yeah, it's very arbitrary ID oriented. I haven't identified why they are what they are yet. The naming definitely leaves something to be desired. Web would not approve.
Nope. We have a coworker that he was teasing us mercilessly about too long variable names, and it was warranted. But so every time somebody does a variable name that's a little longer now, we're like, oh no.
All right, so a lot of this stuff I'm not thrilled with theming wise, and I can do a lot better, but for argument's sake right now this will do.
Yeah, you're hurting me. That doesn't
I know, but I want to cover other things too.
Yeah.
So
it's so bad I'm questioning your love for me.
all right, so now we can add assets to the theme.
Oh, Robert says he would not. Yes, you wouldn't. We all know it.
Robert's here. So
I like that. I sit there and I say something about long variable names, and here he comes.
as if summoned, he appears. Yes, Andrew, exactly.
All right, so what else are we doing?
All right, so UX theme assets. We can add assets to the themes. Assets are your images. Assets are your fonts.
That would be like OTFs and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I'm going to rabbit trail for a second. Does this support adding a link to a file the same way you can?
No. But I will show you.
Okay, show me the
So
things.
first, we need to create a new asset. So I pop that up, click new. And we're going to do an image. We're going to do the image first. We're going to give it a name. Didn't know you could unlock dev tools like this one, like the free floater out here.
Paige, it'll change your life.
It's awesome.
I never dock
This
my
guy
thing.
right here, dock side. You can choose to left it, bottom it, right it, or disconnect it.
Yeah, all but that first option are awful, so I always like shove it off somewhere.
All right, now
I forget where I put it.
I'm going to go back to the ServiceNow ninjas because I don't remember the magic incantation. Although technically I should just be looking in my notebook because I wrote all this stuff down.
In your handy dandy notebook?
In my handy dandy notebook.
Having children has scarred us for life.
Okay, so let me go back to that real quick.
What show is that from?
Blue's Clues.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I could still sing the entire theme song to Dora the Explorer, and her kid is now 11, so...
So this is going to put this asset in that position, in the position of the header logo. Header logo is another one of those data bindings.
Okay.
Okay?
So, like, do you need to use whatever data bindings are in the app shell?
Yes, you have to use the data bindings that are in the app shell, and I imagine other components can expose bindings as well. I haven't gotten too far into that, but yes, you have to use the specific terminology. So then I attach my file to that asset record. That's what I forgot to do before. I also forgot to spell it properly.
Dude, how long you been doing this brand?
Clearly not long enough.
How long have you been doing this?
I don't know. All right, so there's my little logo brand up there.
Oh.
And I'm going to throw it down at the bottom as well just to...
Reinforce the brand continuity.
No, because I want that broken link to go away.
I'm being too loud. I'm going to wake up the baby, and then we're all going to cry.
Position... Footer logo. Submit. And so you can see that I used the... Oops, I did not want the Glide Fast logo there.
Well, you know.
I selected the wrong one. But you can see that I can reuse the same assets in other places.
So
and
once
I
it's
can plug them in.
Now, if you have something like stored on the images table, can you access those through this, or do you have to load the same thing to two different places? Or did you mess with that?
I haven't messed with that yet. It might be possible to link them elsewhere. I know that there is an image component that allows you to drag and drop in the editor, and you can connect that, I believe, to the DB table. I haven't tried connecting these to the DB table yet. All right, so at this point, that broken link in the footer goes away, and we're starting to get a really trashy looking website out of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Trashy because of my styling, not because of the UX team's work. Their work is phenomenal. So let's see. Oh, fonts. Fonts was what you wanted.
So you just upload like an OTF file or a WAF file in the same way, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
So if I come in here, fonts.
But I'm lazy, and I like how you can just put a link to a Google font in there and just be done.
Julius. Let's see. I think that did it. Actually, no, that wouldn't have done it because that was the CSS. Sorry, I need to go to Google Fonts and actually download.
Ooh, can I pick?
Actually, I might have already. Do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it? Downloads. I do.
I thought you were going to let me pick.
All right, so basically what I have here is a TTF file that I ganked from Google Fonts. And what we're going to do is create a new theme asset.
Yeah, Robert Webb is calling me out. Wham, wham, I don't want to change it. And that is exactly it. I've been doing this for almost 3 years, and I'm comfortable. And they had to go and change everything on me.
All right, so you will see. I think it was Julius Sans 1.
This is certainly making it easier, though.
All right, so first of all, you have to select font on the theme asset.
Wait, can I look at what other categories you have there?
It's just font and image and none.
That's it?
For now.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll add more than 8 later if they need it.
Okay.
But so you set it as font, and then you give it a name. You have to remember the name.
That's a great song.
It is. Asset properties, I don't think I need any for that one. And then what we need to do is change a font family to
Julius Sans 1. Is this the one you use on your site?
yes.
I'm proud of you. Your typography is pretty good.
Julius Sans 1. Sans
Sarah?
serif. Did I escape wrong? I escaped. No.
You got, like, yeah.
Oh, I'm missing a comma. There we go.
Syntax.
Back in my day, we didn't have no syntax checkers.
Yeah, I love showing you some of these new tools that have all the handy hotness in them, and you're like, we didn't do it that way. Back in my day, we had to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, this is easy, so I'm going to use it.
It just takes me a while to get used to a lot of the new stuff. Yeah, I know. Get off my lawn and all that.
Grandfather Travis that built gorgeous portals back before Service Portal existed.
Back in my day, everything was an iframe.
Dude, you know Jelly. Like, I can't make fun of you because you're one of the few people that, no.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
What, that you know Jelly?
Yeah.
It's a mark of trauma. You should really get help for it.
All right, so I'm looking for the font family right now. So I got to find the variable for the font family, and one day we'll just make a gigantic list of these things.
And make a font family tree.
I don't know about that.
I'm so funny.
I was talking about the CSS special properties. Make a pretty list. Andrew Barnes says, I'm not jelly.
I still think I'm funny.
Hold on. I think I remember how I found it before.
You can, like, filter in the browser. Like, right here. You can...
Hold on.
Fine. Go about the difficult way. You can also filter up there in your...
now font family.
Oh, my goodness.
We're going to change it the big, broad stroke, simple way. Now font family. Save.
See, Andrew thinks I'm funny, too. But not you.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
That didn't work.
No. See, you can, like, go in the filter right here and put family in.
Font family inherit.
So you gotta find it's not there. Var now font family. It's right there. It's being overridden by something.
Font family.
And there's another one. I do this all the time, so I don't have to scroll through 50 different
now
elements.
font family. Source Sans Pro. Let's see.
Did you put all the dashes in the right place?
Heck if I know. Here, let's simplify it real quick. Let's drop it down to just Julius Sans 1.
Now you have no fonts.
I'll have no fonts.
You went back to Times.
What did we mess up? I did not attach the font. Attach the font to the asset. Now let's try that again.
Well, they don't make it obvious. That was just like the attachment link at the top,
And
right?
there it is.
Very nice.
So now,
Very nice geometric sans serif.
so that is how we change fonts in this.
Okay.
Which again, I mean, that's a huge step up from Service Portal, where there was no one way to do it. You could get it in there,
There
but
were 3 ways of doing it.
yes, there were 3 ways of doing it, and so, but I don't feel like any of them were particularly baked in or intentional. It was just circumstance. It was just kind of a product. It was more byproduct than, or it seemed more byproduct than planned.
And if y'all are interested in learning how to handle custom fonts in Service Portal, Nathan Firth at serviceportal.io has a great little article that I've referenced many, many times because, yeah. But Google Fonts are the easiest thing because you can just link to it. But then otherwise you can attach the font files or...
Option 1, Option 2,
Yep,
Option
there it
3.
I've done all 3.
So, but in the new UX framework,
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Fonts, colors. But,
yeah.
And you can use this to affect the out-of-box components.
Yes, because that's an out-of-box component.
Okay.
So the ServiceNow, I don't know which team it is, whether it's the Seismic team, the UI Builder team, if it's all the same team, if it's one big experience family now. But
or if they're like fighting factions or something. It's like the last Airbender, the different kingdoms. You're going to get a lame joke and a nerd reference in each one of these, and you just need to be okay with that.
I can be okay with that. But, Andrew Barnes says, you can't stay back in my day in Cold Fusion and be like, oh gosh. But, I don't even remember what I was saying anymore.
That was only like yesterday.
What was I saying again?
I don't know. That's how we do the fonts and the images and the colors.
Out-of-box components.
It does leak into, you can affect the out-of-box components this way.
So the experience team has done a phenomenal job of exposing dozens of these CSS custom properties. I mean, they are all over the CSS, complete with defaults. And it makes it really easy to go in, target what you want. They provide multiple fallbacks. It's
and a lot of documentation to help you figure out what's what, right?
That's coming. That's coming, I'm
know.
sure. I have full faith and confidence.
I've gone to a lot of these little information bubbles, and it goes and it shows like just a picture of the component, and I'm like, but that doesn't answer my question. But this stuff, I know it's coming.
All right, so that is the process of setting up the basic, I don't want to use the term shell because app shell is something different, but that's the basic scaffolding of a portal experience.
That's a good way to put it.
That is how you go about setting it up. Now we can start focusing on the page level elements.
Are we going to do the drag and drop thing now?
Yeah, we can do the drag and drop thing now. So I'm going to close out of that. Now, you know what? Before we get into the drag and drop thing, I have to cover one thing before we go any further, and that is the responsiveness and responsive design and all that. So, Portal, it's standard. I mean, it uses Bootstrap. Every bit of it from top to bottom is responsive. Not necessarily mobile first, but it's responsive.
Which is good because every one of my clients wants it.
Right. And so if we're talking about is Portal Experience a replacement for Portal Service Portal right now. Maybe not. You can see it starts to get scrunchy here. It's not...
That makes me nervous.
It doesn't collapse down to a mobile menu. The header and footer are not designed for mobile. They're functional on mobile. I think if you add too many menu links, it won't be so functional. But it's passable, but it's not a great experience. So I don't think it's quite at the point of being a full replacement, at least not with using the out-of-box header and footer. If you did the custom app shell and manipulate it a little bit, maybe. If you could find a way to hide those and just, or, take the height down to 0 or something along those lines, maybe. But basically, there's all of the CSS is primarily controlled through either JSON or if you add a component, what we looked at last
CSS
time.
blocks that are full of lies and deceit.
Yeah, it's not a real CSS style sheet. It's injecting it into the style tag where you can't use media queries.
Yeah.
So there's nowhere to inject media queries. There's nowhere to drop those in. Now, you can use Flexbox and grid layouts to the extreme to make stuff inside of these containers responsive. But in terms of making the overall experience itself responsive, it's a little bit shaky.
But Barnes says that help is on its way.
Barnes says it's not quite there in queue, but we'll get there soon. That's really good to hear.
A promise for Rome would be great, because I have cajoled Travis into celebrating the Rome release with me in Rome. So yes,
I'll tell you what would make Portal experiences absolutely unbeatable from my standpoint is if I could, through property or something else, inject a sysid to select a component that should be used for the header and footer like you can in Service Portal.
Oh, that would be great.
If I could turn around and craft my own custom component and drop that into the header or footer, then the responsiveness is irrelevant because I can do that within my components. And like I said, the body content you can already fairly easily handle, or create a component and you can control it yourself. So the ability to change just the sysids of the header and footer components that are used, I would say it would go beyond just going a long way. It would make Portal experiences the answer. Like if it had that today, if it had the ability to replace the header and footer today, I would say to you right now that the only reason that a customer should not use this in place of Service Portal is if they are stuck outside of Quebec and cannot fire the manager that won't let them.
So I have very strong, as a designer, as a UI UX specialist and all that, I have very strong opinions on this, but I need to acknowledge that our nice trip to Rome to celebrate the Rome release has just turned into a party.
Party in Rome confirmed.
Everybody is joining. So that's a thing. Now, That being said, when you started looking into this, and you I think you did it because you wanted my head to explode. You're like, I don't think this supports mobile. And I was like, what? What? I am offended on all levels because the thing I've been salivating over this for is to take not only a caseworker view and customize it to reflect that great end user experience that I provide in the portal, but to also just bring it all under one roof and let it under one part of ServiceNow and let it be seamless. But I cannot tell a state and local government, who y'all know is my heart and soul, I cannot go to them and say, this is great, this is for your citizens, knowing that there are people in this country who the only internet they have is their mobile device. I can't give them this as an answer. That's not gonna work. Sorry, I'm getting hot.
Oh, no.
I'm getting hot because I think of all the people I know who had to try and apply for unemployment on these janky Government websites, which I am looking for opportunities to fix. So if y'all know any state and local governments, tell them to hit me up. I know. I'm
Shameless.
sorry. But I need to see that happen.
And not even on your blog too.
No, my blog that I look. We've been busy like weathering the store. What is that line in Shakespeare? Weathering the. Somethings and arrows of life, or whatever. Slings and arrows of life, or whatever. Yeah. So that's where that is. I will get back to that whole blogging thing because I enjoy it. But Robert Webb just said #Sarah triggered.
Well, yeah, and I'll also second what you were saying because I tend to work a lot more on the internal side of things, and even internal, and maybe this will change as we hopefully exit the pandemic stages soon. But with a lot of people working from home at this point, there have been a lot of managers I've spoken to that pretty much view mobile as virtually essential. One made some comment to me.
They want to do their approvals while they're on the toilet.
pretty much. He was like, they're at home in their bathrobe. Of course, they're doing it from their phone.
Yeah.
So to some degree, we're at a point where you almost can't afford to not have mobile support. That was it was probably the most stunning thing about the UI, about the portal experience. It was the most stunning thing that hit me was that it was not just responsive, but mobile first. I couldn't believe it wasn't mobile first. That was almost an immediate deal breaker for me, and I'm still trying to find ways around that so that I can start using it now as opposed to waiting for the next stuff to come out. So I'm very anxious for those updates. But yeah, replacing the header and footer and some degree of mobile capability, which honestly, the header and the footer sysids, that alone would give you mobile because then you could build your own mobile. But that is the only thing that realistically stands in my way of using this today. Aside from that,
it's cool.
All right, let's. But
I am, first of all, I am glad that you walked me through this because the getting started part, it was difficult. Like I played around in this trying to figure it out, and it was so much that was so different. It was overwhelming.
So
before we get started, hello, Jace. It's good to see you tonight.
Jace!
Yes. Okay.
You are late. Welcome to the party, though. So one thing I do want to get into next is a lot of the data binding and some of that stuff. So to start, I'm going to go as dead simple as possible because this stuff is just cool.
Are you going to be able to change the text on this button?
Yes.
We recently had like a rage fest together about how you can't easily
Oh
change.
my gosh, really? You're bringing that one up now? Oh,
yes.
Shoot me.
Nothing is sacred, okay.
So we had the... You want to tell it?
I don't know. You may tell it better. All right, but anyway, so...
Go for it.
The service catalog widget, I'm not going to mess with it. I have no desire to mess with it. But we were looking at some weird concept... And we wanted to change the text on the button to submit the service catalog item. And we looked at it and we're like, you can only change it to one of three things. Like, that's it. You're dead. No other option. And I was like, what? Why can I not change it? So we went on and ranted to each other for 2 hours about how you couldn't change this button text, and it's been a request to ServiceNow for 10 years, and even the old dogs have been, please sir, can I change this button text? And no one is listening. So
and I swore up and down that you could change the name of the button, and I kept telling her, no, you can change the name.
You can change it to three things. You can have it in any color as long as it's black.
It really was. I spent I don't want to admit to how much time I spent trying to prove that you could change the name on that button. And technically you can, because you can change the messages. It just changes all the submit messages.
In the entire portal.
All right, so moving on from that. Yes, so let's start with that. Yes, I can change the name of the button. See, I can change it to submit.
See, Jace agrees.
I can change it to order. I'm sorry, I just triggered her. Okay, fine. Next. There's a new one for you.
In more recent news, my husband is trying to tell me he doesn't love me anymore by triggering me with stuff.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so.
Wait, put an exclamation point on the end. Prove to me you can change it to anything.
I can change it to anything.
Nice. You should make it anything.
Where's the any key?
The any key, here you go.
All right, so now let's just go hello UI builder. And what I want to do is when I click the button, I want to change the text of the UI builder.
You're a lot more proper than me. I would have been like, what up?
So, but it's like hello world, you have to. So to do this, we need client state. So everything in UI Builder goes through a central state mechanism. So the entire application state is one big JSON object, basically. Well, technically JavaScript object. And you can add properties to this object, which is what we're going to do. We're going to add a client state parameter. And we're going to call this one message text. And it is best not to include spaces because spaces can mess with things. And we're going to set the initial value to...
So would dashes be okay, or is at that point it just a matter of preferences?
I think dashes should... I think it works well with anything that is well supported by JavaScript.
Okay.
By JavaScript properties. So treat it as a JavaScript property, and I think you'll be okay. And you can see here it's dumping it into a JavaScript object. Or I guess, I don't know. Maybe that one's a JSON object. Hard to say. But so that adds your client state parameter to the central application state. And just to keep us refreshed over... Oops, I forgot to save. Just to keep us up to date, we got a button. We got Hello UI Builder. That is not tied. Let's rename this one to just hello so that I can show that currently it is not tied.
You should make it hello world. Let me change it to hello.
Fine.
Yes.
Hello world.
See my important contributions to this.
You're the reason everybody's here.
I'm the entertainment.
So... I mean, you're the reason I'm even here.
Am I?
You asked me to do it.
Oh, that's right. Ask is a nice word. I've been badgering you. I can't figure this out. This hurts my soul.
Anything for you.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
So, okay, so we've got hello world. It's not tied to the client state parameter. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to come in here and I'm going to first, let's tie this to the client state parameter.
That's what you did down there, right?
No, this created the client state parameter. Okay. Now I'm going to make the text box reflect the client state parameter by coming here. It's currently hello world. Instead of making it manual, I'm going to make it data bound. And I select message text.
Oh,
because
that's what those are.
State message text.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when I save, refresh, hello UI Builder, because it's tied to the client state now.
So this would be like almost like an instance option where you put the string in and it's whatever the string is.
This would actually be more like C.data. This is your C.data.
Oh.
But imagine that you have a C.data for the entire page that all of them share.
Okay.
Okay. And I think components can have their own state, and I think there's a state tree involved because it's fairly React oriented. So I think that there are different contexts for the state. But this one I think is the page level state. And again, I'm still trying to figure some of this out. But now let's add an event handler to the button. So to do that,
when you click the button.
When I click the button, right. So I have to click that component, go to events, and add a new event handler to the button clicked event. So each component exposes events that you can tie into.
Oh, so like if it was a different component, it would tell you these are the ways you can manipulate this.
Yes. Each one exposes its own types of events, and you bind handlers to those events.
Okay, I was wondering where the button click came from.
So the button click is special to the button. If I go to stylized text, you'll see that it has no events.
Because it's just text.
Because it's just text. So add a new event handler. And you'll see that we've got a lot of different types of event handlers. Mm-hmm. For this one, we want to use the update client state parameter. And we're going to select message text. We'll select message text as the client state parameter. And we're going to say to make it hello chat. Because we're going to say hello to everybody in the chat.
The people in the chat need a better name than chat.
Well, give me a better name. I'm not the marketing person here.
I'm not a marketing person either.
Well, we're just host.
I don't know. I made a video. I'm very proud of it.
Where is our Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've saved it. You can see that I've got the update handler in there, so I can add multiple events.
So you can tell it, okay, update this text and then do the thing.
Yes. So, click Next, Hello Chat. And what I want to point out here is I haven't written any code. I haven't touched code at all.
This is as complicated as code to me, but yeah, like once you learn the system and everything, there's no code.
Yeah. So like this is the entire state right here. This is everything that you can change and share. Mm-hmm. Oh, hang on.
I'll get the link to my video. Jace has to see it.
Sorry, I just saw Jace's message asking. He said, "You made a video? Where?" And I was like, "Who? What video?"
I made a promo video.
Oh yeah, that one. It's the FastGov video that's out on LinkedIn.
I made a promo video for FastGov. If it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Y'all don't make fun of my voice. So I don't know how to get this to you on your computer. Can we use Slack?
I think you. I have no idea.
Oh my goodness.
I think everybody in here is in Slack.
I'll figure it out. You keep going.
All right, but so that is how you bind the events to one another. But the other thing I'll say is that the no code approach is not just important from it's no code. People who have no experience with code can build it. It's not really so much that side of things, so much as it's a code can get very messy and dirty. There are a lot of ways to accomplish code. Mm-hmm. And that means that somebody with poor practices can royally mess up an instance. And for somebody that spent most of their career going into instances that were set up by somebody else, got into a problem, and wanted somebody to come in and clean it up, I like the idea that there is kind of one way of doing everything in this framework. It's going to be very difficult to royally screw up how this works, because a lot of it's done without code. And even the code you can write is very isolated. So let's try and do something a little more complicated. I'm going to delete this garbage. And I'm going to do...
Hey, question. I posted a link in the chat and it's not showing up on your page. Is it like not letting links?
I don't know.
You should know these things.
So the link was right there?
It was before that.
It was before that?
Yeah. I can share it again.
Settings. Filtering? No? I have no idea. I don't know. It might be...
Oh, there it is. Now it's showing up.
Oh, it's showing up now?
I guess it had to make sure it wasn't a naughty link or something.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I don't do those kind of videos.
Jeez.
Anyhow,
moving on from that one. So, all right. So let's do some quick layouts here. I'm going to
Now,
add two containers.
You were telling me you have to be careful about this.
Yeah, so the drag and drop, basically there's not a whole lot of space in here.
There's no going back.
Well, I mean, there's going back, but you can see like that. It's hard. It's hard to drag things in between. It's this, and also as you'll see here shortly, the WYSIWYG editor does weird things when you start messing with the visibility. Like stuff will disappear on you in the WYSIWYG because you've specified it to disappear over here.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you lose the ability to drag and drop. Bottom line is you want to set up as much as you can up front before you start messing with stuff. So I'm going to set up two main containers. I'm going to leave the names alone for now, but you can name them, and I think that's awesome. I'm going to add another container here, and then I'm going to add a peer container.
Did you say a peer container?
Yeah. Two peers. Not children, but siblings. Siblings. And then I'm going to add two down here. Add a component after. Okay, in this container, I'm going to add some rich text. And let's add one more container up top.
It's a lot of containers.
It is.
Man, I saw that setting where you can set them to be Flexbox, and I was like, oh.
See, this is the drag and drop.
Jay's heard pure, not peer. Say
Oh, pure. Yeah, sorry.
Pure.
Siblings.
Pure.
P2P containers. Let's see. Container 1, container 2. See, stuff like this happens. Where did it go? I want you above. There we go. Did it work? No. See, this is the kind of stuff that happens, and it's really annoying. Where did container 7 go?
It's in container 3.
It's in container 3? I don't want it in container 3. All right.
Can you just delete it and try it again?
Yeah, let's just delete it and try again. So this is why I say you want to get your layouts pretty solid up front, because trying to use the drag and drop editor at this point is kind of messy. All right. So I actually want 3 top-level containers. So let's do 3 top-level containers.
This is where wireframes come in handy.
Click, 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 click. Is there an easier way? Let's see if I can just... I mean, it's still click, click, click. That's fine. That'll do. All right, so let's add our stylized text up here. And...
Everything is awesome when you're part of a team?
Everything is awesome. All right, so we'll call this the Snap application because we've been doing all that government work, UI flow, and everything else. So we'll call this the Snap application. So that containers our title. This next one is going to have 2 containers.
Are you sure?
Yes. And in this one, we're going to add a component. And this one's going to be rich text. And then we're going to add a component down here, and it's going to be a button. And I'm going to go up and do align items, flex end to move the button over to the right. And okay, so that sets up that section. Then let's set up this section with 2 containers. Add after. And we're going to add a component here, and that one's going to be a button. And then we're going to go up to its container and do a flex and Oh, was it main? Yeah, main. Align items, flex end. Add a component here.
Awesome.
We'll do an input. All right, and I think that's everything I need. So rich text, we're going to edit HTML.
While he's doing that, I'd like to mention, if y'all need a refresher on Flexbox or want to become familiar with it, CSStricks.com has like a great guide to Flexbox that I reference more often than I want to admit.
So we're going to set that text. And this button is going to be a next button. Make sure we get a tooltip.
One Andrew left and came back for 30 minutes, and he's like, wow, we have a full-blown app. Andrew, you shouldn't hate CSS. I hate JavaScript, so I guess we could trade.
Submit. And then the input, we'll do short description.
You're making a field.
Yes.
And you can bind this to... So you can do each individual field and make it as big or as little as you want. Right?
Yes.
All right. Instead of the like 2-column approach that we're kind of stuck with on forms and...
Right.
Oh.
So you can do Flexbox layouts and stuff like that. And also with Service Catalog, you can't do the UI flow type stuff where you have multiple steps very well.
Yeah.
What ServiceNow wizards used to accomplish there's not really a way of doing it today with standard components. But this, using the using the UX framework, is one way we can accomplish that. So what I've created here is a title container, which is the Snap application. I've created an introduction container, which is this and that first button. And then I've created the third container, which is the input field and a submit button. So what I want to do first is I want to show or hide these containers when I click the button. So I want to move through a flow of steps. So in order to do this, I'm going to need some state parameters to hold what should be shown and what shouldn't be.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep this fairly simple with a Boolean approach for now. Hide, we'll call it the intro. Boolean. I really wish that would let me tab through, but it doesn't. Hide form, Boolean. Okay, so initially we're going to hide the form and we're going to show the intro, okay? So we'll save that real quick. Now what we need to do is we need to go to our containers and we need to go to the component visibility and bind the hide component property to the client state. So hide intro. When we hide the intro, we want to hide that container. When we hide form, we want to hide that one. Okay, so we'll save it again real quick because I don't trust things I have to save, or I don't trust the saving. Okay, so you can see how it's hidden right now?
Yeah.
You can't see it. You can't drag and drop anything in it. And I haven't... Test value? No? It didn't come back. So... False? False. There we go. Okay. All right, so you can bring it back, apparently.
We learned a thing!
We learned a thing. So you can bring it back, but still, I've had a lot of trouble with the drag and drop. It's not quite refined yet.
Excuse me, Travis. I see y'all talking about CSS and design stuff in the chat. I'm just not wanting to interrupt him, but we're gonna get to that stuff. I'm gonna address you.
All right, so.
Okay, so you've set up your client state parameters and bound them to the different
and I bound them to the visibility. Okay. So now when that state changes, I've set the initial state for them, and when the state changes, then the hidden the show hide will change. So for example, if I come to this button, add a new event handler, update state parameter, what we want to do is when I click next, I want to hide intro. And I also want to show the form. Save. Refresh. Next.
Bless.
So now you've got a step-by-step form. I can also add a button before this one.
Have fun at sprint planning.
And this one will be previous. And we'll give it a label. And we'll bind its event. Hide intro. Hide intro is false. And hide form is true. Now, I will also add that you'll see I can change from form to script.
Oh.
So I could do some logic in here and return what the result of that property or properties should be.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works on, I don't know if it'll work on multiple properties or not, to be honest. But basically you have the ability to do logic in there as well. So for example, I could have done a single state parameter that contained the name of the section to show, and then the visibility would update depending on which one was shown. Save. And Jay says he wonders if that script is server or client side. That one is client side.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any network calls when you run those ones. But so now at this point I can click next, previous, next, and submit does nothing. And this container, not the container, the main, there we go, flex direction row, and that should put those buttons in line. Next. It broke my right adjustment. Oh, I know why. Because it's no longer that. It should be justify content now because I changed the axis. There we go.
So with this, you could build a multi-step form, and I'd like to take a minute to talk about, as a user experience, why this is so phenomenal. First of all, order guides do exist in Service Portal, but the UI of them, the way they're laid out and everything, is garbage. But multi-step forms do a lot. UX studies have shown that users can keep in their head from 5 to 7 pieces of information at a time. So you don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of choices. And, you know, especially with working with state and local clients, working with the public, you've got these long, ridiculous government program forms. Like the unemployment form for the state of North Carolina is 10 pages long. I downloaded it yesterday. It's ridiculous. So by breaking this up, we're helping these people who may be in a very vulnerable situation. They may be very frustrated. Lots of negative emotions. We're making this as easy as possible for them to get through this one little step at a time and move on with their day. So that is the value I see in multi-step forms. It's a lot less overwhelming than putting all that information in front of them all at once. And especially if you add in the ability to save drafts of applications and all that, that can do a lot for you. And again, setting up this for use on mobile devices ensures that all of your users have better access to these forms. So there, I've given my spiel.
You've given your spiel? Let's see. Identifier.
What are you doing?
So now at this point, what I want to do is bind the input value on this page to another client state parameter so that I can submit that to the server.
Okay. And again, all this has been done without code. I've not seen you touch code.
So far.
Unless
so
you're
far.
sneaking it in behind
No, I haven't. The surveys in ServiceNow are so great. ServiceNow uses them, right? Ruthless, Jace. Ruthless.
Poor Andrew Barnes is in here, and he's like getting put on the spot. He says, I did not come here to rep ServiceNow. Y'all leave me alone.
Well, I think 2 of the Andrews are work at ServiceNow, I thought.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I don't know who everybody is. I know who a few people are, and I feel like I know something.
I thought there was a way to... I can't remember if that does it or not. How did I do this before? Invalid set, value set. We'll just make sure. Update state parameter, short description, new value is the... that's how it was. I need the identifier. All right, so on the inputs, I have to put an identifier so that I can access it. And then I can say that when I set the value, the short description client state parameter, I bind to this is where we get into the scripts. So I couldn't figure out a way to do the identifier from here. So what I did was I switched to script, and I said change short description property to API dot state, because we're working with state parameters.
Yep.
Dot short description. And so what this is going to do, this is doing the same thing the form did, just through script. So what I'm returning is the property I want changed, which was the first box you entered in.
Yep.
And the value I want it changed to, which is the second box you enter in. Instead, I'm binding it to... or actually, wait a second. Value is not that. Value should be API dot elements dot... There we go.
Jace wants to know if you got this from trial and error or Ninja or the docs. You got it
This,
from the docs,
this,
right?
This was trial and error. Oh, this is what I did. Event. So you see how you've got API and event available? We're dealing with the input value set. So the value has been set on the input. So I'm going to use the event dot value, I think. And yeah, Jace, this was a lot of trial and error. Getting the header, footer, menu, getting that set up all came from the ServiceNow Ninjas guys. Everything that I've done here in terms of the binding and everything else, I kind of did on my own.
And a lot of Ashley's work has been a lot to kind of help point you in the right direction, right?
Honestly, the input binding and such, I don't recall if I saw it on hers. I may have.
I was just speaking in general for everything.
Yeah.
Ashley's... I took his question to be general to everything you're doing.
Yeah, Ashley's stuff has given me a lot of insight into a lot of the new features in Quebec. The ServiceNow Ninjas guys have given me a lot of insight into the UI builder itself and understanding at least how to get it set up and started. And then from there, I just went into my own world of exploring, experimenting, and beating stuff up.
And cussing and getting frustrated. And
when you are making something called Snap Application, you might as well just shorten it to Snapplication.
That's so epic.
I'm not suggesting that to the government clients, but you're welcome to.
Oh, you know I will, because like
You're one of them.
Yeah, and we get to talking and everything. Like I was talking with this this one stakeholder today with an unemployment agency, and we just clicked. We're talking about the things we liked and didn't like about government technologies, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, Jay.
So I could totally.
Oh, sorry.
I could totally suggest that.
And yeah, Jace, I do plan on linking to those resources. I've got pages of notes from stuff I've grabbed from other folks, and pages that I've written up myself from all the stuff I've been doing. And eventually, I'm going to put that all in the blog. Yeah, I'll probably do it in the blog for now, and I'll connect to the resources. Eventually, I might even do a more standard guide around it.
Oh, those guides you did are great. I've had so many people tell me that it was a great walkthrough to get started in Service Portal.
I'm really glad to hear that. Mm-hmm. I was hoping people would find it helpful.
I mean, I found it helpful because, like, I was like the guinea pig that you wrote it for, sort of.
Yeah,
one of them.
You and Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Both of whom have now replaced me at GlideFast Portal Development.
I'm not the only one.
No, y'all are not the only two.
We were the early replacements. So y'all,
right.
If Robert Geen is in here, he's like got his Portal chops. It's been fun watching him do it, but he's one of them.
I've been retired.
I'm still looking for a good name for those of us that work on like the design side of things, because I've been calling us Portal people, but that sounds kind of weird.
All right, so
anyway.
Bringing us to a point of wrapping up, the last thing I want to do is a submit action. To do that, we have to connect to data. So we use this little data icon down here, and we have to connect to certain resources. You see that this one was inherited from the app shell.
Yes.
So that's gathering data for the app shell. We don't really care about it. What I want to do, though, is I want to add a new one from global, and you'll see all kinds of different options in here, from queries to there's a lot of stuff in here. I've seen a lot of talk about the EVAM, which is entity value something or other. You know how I told you with Service Portal that you've got the views, you've got the data behind the scenes, and then there should be a mapping layer in between that maps from your database properties to your view properties, and then you wouldn't need a lot of the glide code?
Yes.
That's the EVAM.
Oh, that's cool.
So in the UX framework, they've provided that. What I want to do is create a record, and there's no other options here. You just add it. Because what happens is we go to our events on our submit button, add a new event, one click, and what we're going to do is you see down here, we have added this create record one data. Mm-hmm. And I should have given it a better name. You can do edit and give it a name and an ID. At this point, I don't care enough to. And then you get this here. So this is where I can say I want to create an incident. And then you can specify via condition builder, which was a little weird. But you can specify that short description should be test. So for now, I'm going to hard code it to test. Add. Save. Reload. And submit. And what happens is when I come over here and I go to incidents, what I end up with is an incident created up at the top with test as the short description.
Oh my gosh, Becky.
So
awesome.
Now we need to make it dynamic. So this is where things got a little weird for me, because in fact,
Can we talk about how it took all of that just to get... They've got to have a widget that just is a form for whatever.
They do.
So this is like for special muffins.
This is special muffins. Yeah, they have a catalog component. They've got form components, list components, almost every component you can imagine. Mm-hmm. But they also have these other components that let you snap together whatever you want. And that's amazing. That's something that we've never really had before.
I looked at like all these, like they have like the star ring, like just these little tiny pieces just individualized, and I was like, oh, that makes it so easy to like. It's hot. I'm not gonna lie.
So, I was having trouble getting the dynamic elements of this to work because you can see that it's just a condition builder. There's no data attachments in here. And I tried doing a few different fancy methods of trying to bind that, and all it did was just post those to the short description.
The UI builder said, "I'm the fancy thing here. You just need to stop."
Yeah. So that didn't work. So then what I started messing with was I click this, and you can see that sends a network message, and this is the request that gets sent. And I was hoping it would give me some indication as to how this stuff was constructed. Yes, you can change from mode form, and that's what we're getting ready to do. So hang on just a moment, Jay. So what I did was I took this body, and it's clearly base 64 encoded, so I went to a base 64 decoder just because I wanted to see what this body looks like. And this is the actual body that's being posted. And you can see that it's doing an insert incident action, and sysid values, short description values. And I point this out mostly to say that the framework is doing a lot of magic under the hood. With Service Portal, what you did was what you got. And so if you saw a certain REST message going, it was because somebody did a $sign HTTP somewhere, and that's what happened. But this object here is not going to the server. This object here is being processed and then being embedded somewhere in this other object, wrapped in an envelope, and then is being passed. In fact, this short description object, that's not even... I actually tried to do some sort of short description option. That's not the object you use.
So what?
So what it ended up being, dummy me, is an encoded query. It's just an encoded query. So this encoded query is getting converted to an object somewhere, and that's in ServiceNow's code. So if I switch this to script, I can specify the table manually, incident, and then the template fields is a encoded query.
Oh, just like you would grab from platform view?
So, wait. No, we're not doing it this way. We're not doing it this way. I'm not using a string because, ladies and gentlemen, ES6 is in the freaking building. This is called a template literal, which
I'm really excited about that.
Watch. API.state.short description. Notice that it is embedded directly in the string. You know how normally you have to do plus, it would be short description, close string, plus, and then something else? Mm-hmm. You don't need the concatenating plus anymore. You don't need that join operator.
Okay.
You can create a string, and you can embed these little $sign squiggle brackets and inject JavaScript code in between those, and it acts as a template. And in ES6, this is called a template literal.
Oh.
In a lot of your modern web components, the backticks, these template literals are how stuff like lit element, polymer, a few others, you actually build your entire HTML template inside of those because they are also multi-line. So they are multi-line strings. This is still a string, not an error. And it's valid.
Okay.
Okay. Now, of course, we want the encoded query, not all that junk, so bam.
There you go.
There we go. And then I don't care about using the display value. Apply. Save. Jay says that the ES6 idea did get some updates about how ServiceNow is planning this stuff, but I thought it was still years out. So this stuff is definitely clients. These scripts, this one here is still client-side. All of these evaluate events. The events are being evaluated on the client side, as far as I can tell. So, like, if I go to network, for example, and I click previous, you can see next in previous buttons, there's no network events. So all of these functions are client side, and it is then being processed by the Voodoo box. I guess it's the seismic framework, but I don't know what's seismic, what's tectonic. I'm not sure which side's which, or if this is something else entirely.
I think we need to call the Voodoo box and see if it catches on. Kind of like Fetch.
Voodoo box. You lost me at Fetch. You lost me at Fetch. But so in that way, you can put logic in there. Mm-hmm. You can put logic, but everything is a return value. There's no external mutation going on. Immutable objects is a really big thing in React Redux and a lot of your more modern central state-driven frameworks. Mm-hmm. So you can see we're creating a new object in all of this. Everything is new. So when you are updating state parameters, you're updating state parameters with a new object. You're not changing the old one. Now, we don't have to know anything about that because ServiceNow gave us these fancy little boxes where we can stick our code. But what's important to know about it is that that central app state is the only way you can realistically change the application. And you do it by returning values, not by doing a bunch of mutations. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool.
It's really simple.
It is. It is. So now at this point, I should be able to reload. Click Next. This is an app submission. Click Submit, and with any luck... No, I didn't actually want to... undefined. Didn't work. Something botched in my... that would be in the input event. So something it does not like... So event.value is not giving me what I want. Event.payload. Let's try event.payload.value. Maybe that one was it. We are working on the design and support for ES6 in 2021 with the target for release in San Diego. We are prioritizing ES6 over TypeScript for this initiative. Happy and healthy holidays to you all. Yeah, so ES6 is supposed to be coming server-side. I don't know what all is included in that. I don't know. I'm personally not expecting the full suite of ES6 capabilities. I think they're going to prioritize certain key ES6 functionalities. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Jace. That is something that is really, really cool that should be coming to the platform. Getting template literal server-side would be awesome. I don't know that imports are necessarily something I'm kind of ambivalent towards imports because script includes kind of provide that in ServiceNow anyway. But native classes would be cool. There's just a lot of ES6 functionality that I'm really looking forward to getting a hold of. It may bring some really interesting changes to how we go about coding on ServiceNow. And I've already been prepping some of my functional programming skills for changing for changing up how I personally write script includes, and ES6 will drive that even further.
Does it work now?
I don't know. Let's find out. I'm getting close.
Or are we going to be like, oh, snap? You have very
Snapplication.
sensible... There you go. I was about to say, you have very sensible test data.
Reload. Snapplication. There we go. So now we just created a form that we can walk through step by step to submit an incident. So you've got this multi-step form going on, and we could have added as many containers in here as the system would have supported. I don't know how far you can take it, but I imagine until your browser crashes. And then, of course, we could have on the submit button, we could have added additional event handlers to take it to a completion. We could have set a number of values in our app state, pass stuff as parameters. Jay says that the prompt on the error should have been, "Oh snap, we had a problem."
Isn't that what Google's does when it can't reach something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But Robert Webb says block scope, let's go. Oh yeah, the let having the let whatever the heck those tokens are called, keyword. Having the let keyword is going to be really cool for giving block scopes. Not having to IIFE everything will be awesome. Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to that as well. Although if some of the stuff I plan on posting around functional programming server-side on ServiceNow catches on, IIFEs and frankly massive for loops and massive functions may be coming to an end. More on that to come.
You sound kind of excited.
I am. I'm really looking forward to. Basically, it takes the Glider API that I put together years ago and never really put to work because I didn't feel like importing a special library into everybody's instance if nobody else was using it. Glide Query is a very similar API that has started to catch on because it was provided by ServiceNow, so you can download the plugin for it. But one of the things that I found that was an issue with Glider, which also happens to be an issue with Glide Query, is that as a Fluent API, it's completely consolidated to itself. If you want to change it, you kind of have to go in and change it itself or extend it. Mm-hmm. Functional programming lets you create without extension. You don't have to extend anything. And it allows you to create an API that is very similar to Glide Query, almost identical to Glide Query and Glider. And basically you can extend it just by creating new script includes and adding new functions to the capability.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited about that one. But anywho, so at this point we've created a step-by-step form in the new UI builder with the portal experience. We've been able to bind events, we've been able to bind properties, and submit those to server side. So already you have pretty much all the tools you need to be able to build almost any component that you can think of, or any page you can think of. Components are a different story, which I'm hoping to get to soon, probably next. But this gives you the ability to, using the existing components, build really complex applications, really complex UIs.
Without a whole lot of code.
I
don't know. Some people may be uncomfortable with that.
It's going to be a change. I mean, I will say doing this in here took a lot longer than what it would have taken me to do in
Yeah, it's
Service
like I look
Portal.
at those little selectors for like CSS properties or
Yeah.
whatever, and I'm like, man, I could just like type that out quicker than that.
Yeah, and it's a lot like Flow Designer. You know, with Flow Designer, I can write the code a lot quicker than I can write the flow. But the flow is less likely to break. I'm more likely to get it right the first time. And if I don't get it right the first time, I'm more likely to get it right sooner than I would get the same equivalent code. You know, because with the code, it could be syntax issues. It could be misspellings of variable names. It could be, there's a million different ways your code could have gone wrong. The logic could be wrong. You could be
Missing a
overriding.
semicolon.
You could be missing a semicolon. You could be overriding a variable that you, because of improper block scoping in JavaScript ES5. Jay says this is painful compared to what I'm used to. Yeah, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm being drug kicking and screaming just so we're all on the same page.
For as much as I love how fast that I can write code at this point and get what I'm looking for, and I've gotten to a point where a lot of my coding practices are getting really, really tight to the point that I can go back to stuff, edit it real easily. I can extend it easily without changing existing code. It almost hurts to feel like I'm going to be putting all of that aside to dump into this really complicated code-free editor where everything feels like it goes a lot slower, but at the same time, I like it from the standpoint of collaboration. Code requires really tight practices, code reviews, and everything else to make sure that teams are on the same page, especially when you're working on multi-consultancy projects or projects where you're collaborating with the customer. You know, there's a lot of management to making sure that code is done well. Flow Designer, UI Builder, with their low-code, no-code type approaches, make collaboration a lot easier because there's fewer ways of differentiating. You know, Python has the mindset, or is it Python that has one? I think it's Python that has there's one right way to do everything. Even though there's still many ways of doing it, there's one generally accepted way that everybody will adhere to. And that's something that ServiceNow hasn't really had. ServiceNow, you can do, because JavaScript, anything, any way you want, a million different ways. You want to do functional programming, do it functional. Prototype, go for it. Class-based, go for it. You know, although it's not true class-based, but mincing. But you can pretty much do whatever you want in JavaScript, and what that means is that you have people that will write a function that's 10,000 lines long. And it's like, that's painful. Now I don't know where to look. In Service Portal, people will turn around and use nested widgets. Some will use events. Some will use
Don't talk to me
Angular.
about nested widgets.
Some will use Angular providers. Everybody uses a different tactic, and when everybody uses a different tactic, nobody's on the same page, and things fall apart. You know, that's when you get into the situations where it's like, look, I can go in and add the feature you want to this widget that somebody created and is now no longer on the team, or I can rebuild the whole thing from scratch and then add the feature, and it'll probably take me about the same amount of time, but I'll be able to add future features faster. And that's what I kind of like about this approach is I feel like this low-code environment will make it so that there's a little more standardization.
What if we don't want standardization in the wild west of Service Portal development?
Well, then you still have the advantage of creating components, but your component code is protected from other people jacking up your component code.
Which is awesome.
You know, you compile your component, push it to the instance, and now if you want access to that code, you know, you have to have access to that code. And unless, you know, for us, where we can turn around and build libraries of components as a consultancy and as a partner, and we can deliver that to our customers, we don't have to worry about other folks coming in and messing that stuff up. We can manage that through source control and provide a better experience to our customers.
Which sounds glorious.
Right. So, that's some of the stuff that I really like about this. It's definitely slower. This containerized stuff here is just painful. And it was painful in Service Portal too. There's no WYSIWYG editor that's going to make adding a bunch of containers and such easy. I'd much rather just touch the HTML code. But if I have to, I'll take it to a component, build a component that has the layout that I want, and then I'm happy.
Doesn't that go against what you were saying years ago about not building these huge monolithic widgets?
Well, for Service Portal, it made sense to make small widgets. And honestly, not really, because in the components, what you would want to do is create a layout component that has properties where you can embed other components. So you can still keep components very concentrated and still expose them in the environment and manipulate them the way you need to in the UI builder. So you're still not creating monolithic components. You're still creating small components. You're just enhancing the complexity, or you're building complexity by adding multiple smaller components together. So overall, I really like the direction it's going. I hope that unlike Service Portal, CMS, Workflow, countless other things that have gone the way of the dinosaur, I hope that this becomes a more standardized feature for ServiceNow moving in the long run, where even if they come up with some new UI builder, it still uses the same old data model and the same proprietary stuff.
Yeah.
I hope that stuff becomes more portable, unlike moving from Jelly to Service Portal to this. I hope the components becomes more future-proof. I'd hate to have to think that I have to rewrite all my components a few years from now yet again. But I do like the direction these things are going. I do like the interfaces that are coming up. If I can figure out or get this mobile friendliness in the header where I want it, this is my new love on ServiceNow. This is where I build all my new UIs if I can solve that mobile first issue.
Okay, if you say so.
But with that, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Obviously, we've come a long way on the using the portal experience over 2 days.
Oh, yeah. And we've had some good conversation along the way. I do want us to come back and address some of the questions that some of the folks in the chat asked about design and design inspiration and learning those things to make a good UI. So I think we ought to come back to that at some point, because if you don't, I will.
Yeah.
I can run my mouth about that all day long. The short answer is I ingest a lot of different sites to look at good UI, to look at ideas, to look for ideas, and then it's just like pieces of a puzzle. I end up putting it together in ways that work. But I can tell y'all some of the places that I go looking for stuff, Steal Like an Artist and all that good stuff.
Dribble.
Yeah, Dribble. But Behance, however you say it. A few others.
Web just burned you.
Sarah?
Yeah. Talk? Nah.
It's funny because you're the one that does most of the talking in this. I just interject with stupid jokes and stuff like that.
This is like the only time I talk, though.
Yes. I am a UI UX designer. I also build on Service Portal. So I guess I'm a developer too, but I'm more... Whereas a lot of the developers in this space are very functional focused.
Yeah.
I look at it from the user's experience, first, because part of my philosophy is if they don't like what they're looking at, and UX studies have shown this, if they do not like what they're looking at, they're not going to use it. I mean, come on, y'all have been to ugly websites. How much time do you really want to spend there? And so I strive to build something that is both functional and beautiful, something that users are going to enjoy coming back to time and time again.
Yeah, Sarah is very design heavy. Like the portals she puts together. So Sarah learned development from me, and I learned design from her. And she's now getting better than me at both.
No, because
when it comes to Portal,
because I know the layout. Like this is Travis, save me. So,
but Sarah's.
But I still hate JavaScript.
Sarah put together her own promo video for FastGov. So I mean, whether it's print design, video design, raster graphics, web design, she's just design heavy. She just picks this stuff up like it's nothing. Interior design.
Yeah, my very first job was working at a fabric shop. I sold fabric and had to help people. I had to help ladies pick out their curtains, and I've always said, because I was originally gonna go to law school, and I always said my retirement job I wanted to do interior design, but I didn't go to law school for reasons, and ended up on a very, very winding path doing design anywhere. Yes,
and Jace, I want to go back and answer your question real quick on the mobile issue. The mobile issue is that the header in particular is it's functional, but you got the search bar bumping right up against the logo. When you actually use it on a mobile phone, sometime on some of them, it all shrinks down. The viewport settings are not set properly. So everything is smaller. It's just it's not ready to go for mobile yet. Let's see. Did we miss any other questions? Beauty Love says this is the only time I talk. That is sad. This is kind of the only time. I am very introverted. In our meetings, in like the company meetings and our team meetings and everything else, I sit back in the back and I let other people talk and I let other people handle things. The only times I talk really are if I am running a workshop in these videos, or if the only people I'm around are the members of my family in this household, and I'm running around the house singing and getting up to antics.
So what's great about this is ServiceNow is his space, and then I come in and now everybody at GlideFast is like, oh Sarah, yeah, blah blah blah, and I've made so many friends at this company, I love it. And Travis is like, what are you doing? I said, I'm stealing your people. Try and stop me. So now they're my people.
They are your people.
And y'all are my people too.
Yeah, that's just it. Even the people here come here because you're here. So I mean, they're all your people.
Yeah. So we probably need to change the introduction for next time. Here's Travis and his peanut gallery.
Well, welcome to Code Creative. This is Sarah and also her husband. And Jace, no, you cannot have two headers because the headers are locked into the Portal Experiences app shell. So there's one header, one footer, and it is ServiceNow's components for it as of right now.
And he comes for both of us.
Thank you, Jace.
All right, so are we ready?
Oh, God. Webb says I also get chatty at 3 a.m. when we're running headfirst into a deadline. Yeah, at 3 a.m. the ex-Marine comes out to play. Yeah, 3 a.m. before deadlines, the ex-Marine comes out.
This is why they don't put us on projects together.
No.
People always ask us, how do you stand working together? We don't.
Jace, no, you cannot have no header either. The space will still be taken up by the header, just nothing is shown, and there's a dividing line. You can make the dividing line transparent to, well, technically you have to change it to the background color, otherwise the default overrides.
Ew.
But there's still a big margin and gap. I suppose you could overcome that, and this is some of the stuff.
Like a negative margin?
Right. This is some of the stuff I'm experimenting with, is how I can override it. You can also create a custom app shell and change the sysID of the header to a different component, like one of your own creation. But I'm pretty sure that's considered non-standard and not supported. So you'd be on your own if you did that. I would not use it for production at this point because I don't understand the framework enough to get out of trouble faster than I got into it, if it came to that. Yeah, ugh, Jace. That was my reaction too. The non-mobile first approach was heartbreaking because I love so much else about it and I was so ready to commit to it. And when I discovered that it was not mobile first or mobile friendly initially, it was heartbreaking, but it is supposed to be coming. It's supposed to be coming soon. So
Barnes promised it, so he's got like some inside scoop or something.
I love Barnes.
And that's fine. We can all go celebrate it in Rome when Rome releases in September.
But all right, guys, with that, we are going to actually wrap up for the evening as opposed to the last time.
Because I'm tired and I want cookies before bed. Like, legit.
Priorities. But thanks all for joining in. Really appreciate the company this go around. This was fun.
Beauty Love asks how often we do lives. Whenever we feel like it. Depending on how chaotic our lives get.
I created Code Creative Live because it was too difficult to commit to recording videos on a regular basis because it takes so much time. So do blog articles. All my stuff took too much time and I never knew when I would have time to do it. So Code Creative Live has become my way of saying, hey, you want to do a live tonight? Yeah, let's do a live tonight. And even that is planning in advance. Most of my lives have been, hey, honey, I'm going to do a live now.
And then I I'm in the background cracking jokes.
But, yeah, Robert, I don't know that we know what the typical desktop versus mobile is. All I know is that all of my customers insist on mobile support most of the time. A few haven't minded desktop only, but most of them, internal application or external application, most of mine have all wanted mobile and refused to do the mobile app. It could not be in an app. It had to be in a browser.
Mm-hmm. All right, this is where we say goodnight.
This is where we say goodnight.
Y'all have a good one.
Y'all have a good one. Thanks.
This
Bye.
is Code Creative signing off.